Kia ora, my name's Phil Pratt. I'm the construction foreman for the Kaimai tunnel. One of my duties on the Kaimai tunnel is to make sure that everyone is inducted onto our work site, both in the yard and also the tunnel itself. First and foremost, when you enter it onto our site, you'll come first of all through this gate. You'll be guided through our whole procedure as to the setting up for yourself to be in a safe environment. Please listen carefully and please be guided by those that have worked in this area for a long time now. We aim for a safe environment within the tunnel and also in our yard. It's important to us to have a work safe area. It's very important to us that you arrive on this work site in a safe manner and that you also leave in a safe manner. Please pay attention to this induction. It's important that you understand our procedures and that you leave this site safe. Thank you.
Let's talk about what you need to know to safely work on the Kaimai Tunnel project. Location. Access to the Kaimai project worksite is off Old Te Aroha Road near the Hemapo crossing loop. The site entrance is marked with a project sign at the front gate. When driving along the access road to the site office, make sure you obey the 20km speed limit. Reverse parking is required when you arrive at the car park. You will also note the emergency evacuation area point near the car park. If there is an emergency on site and we need to evacuate, there will be a long blast on an air horn or vehicle horn. You will assemble at this assembly point and await further instruction. There is also a landing pad for a helicopter if required to evacuate injured personnel. Let's take a look at the site from above. The project site compound is broken into different areas. The main areas are the car park, emergency assembly area, office, smoko room and toilets. The pre-start briefings are undertaken in the office and there is an adjacent PPE room. Access into the yard and beyond requires you to be wearing the full PPE. The rail protection officer has an office next to the lock-on boards. The yard area operates a one-way system for vehicles entering and exiting. Once you have parked and enter the main office, you will sign in, undertake the breath screening test for any alcohol, and then receive the pre-start safety briefing on the shift. It's really important that you're fit for work and not impaired by drugs, alcohol, or severely fatigued or unwell. After the briefing, you will proceed through to the PPE room. To enter the tunnel, you're required to wear the following: safety boots, disposable overalls, eye protection, a high visibility vest, hard hat. If you're a visitor, you'll be provided with the blue visitor's hard hat, a headlamp, hand protection, and finally your self-contained self-rescuer or SCSR. This must be worn on you at all times in the tunnel. Due to the hazards of working in a tunnel, you must hold KiwiRail's tunnel operations training competency before accessing the tunnel. Once you have the PPE on, you may access the site, locking on with the rail protection officer before leaving the compound to enter the rail corridor and tunnel. Make sure you familiarise yourself with the location of emergency equipment on site, including the first aid kit, fire extinguishers and spill kits, and follow signage on site regarding where PPE is required to be worn. When working on this project, it's important to know how the site is managed. Phil Pratt is the site manager. Phil is overall in charge of the site and project officers. There's a rail protection officer or RPO who manages the rail protection and locks everyone on before they access the railway. It's important to get a briefing from the RPO on the protection arrangements for the day and if there are any rail movements that you need to be aware of. Each work team has a supervisor who is directly in charge of the team and a gas monitoring safety observer who checks the works comply with the tunnel safety plan and monitors for hazardous gases when working in the tunnel. If an incident occurs on site or you get injured, no matter how minor, you must report this immediately to your supervisor, who will inform the site manager. There is a medical centre in nearby Matamata, which is about a 15-minute drive from site. Work shifts on this project are a maximum of 12 hours, with a minimum of 10 hours break between shifts. At the end of the shift, dispose of the overalls in the skip bins provided, and high visibility vests should be returned to be washed. Don't leave any material or rubbish in the tunnel or rail corridor. Dispose of it correctly. Work hazards. Only vehicles and plant that are tunnel approved are permitted into the tunnel. This means the vehicles and plant must be fire hardened and fitted with the fire suppression system. When walking in the tunnel, keep to the left side facing whatukeo and do not stack any material that could block the walkway. Watch out for dislodged or missing drain covers that you could trip over. High rail vehicles must not pass people, they must stop and allow people to pass. Observe exclusion zones and only approach high rail vehicles and plant with the approval of the mobile plant controller. If you are using hazardous materials or chemicals, make sure that these have been approved by the site manager. You must have the safety equipment and clothing required to safely handle the product, and make sure you have spill kits available in case the product spills. Any spill must be reported to the site manager. If you're using electrical power tools and equipment, make sure it has a residual current device fitted that will protect against electrocution if there is a fault. Due to the hazardous tunnel environment, lone working is not permitted on this project. There are small trace amounts of arsenic present in the tunnel, so it's important that you wear gloves when working. Make sure you wash your hands before eating or drinking. No food is to be consumed while in the tunnel. If you need to smoke, the only permitted area is beside the car park at Hemapo. If there is a need to evacuate the tunnel, your supervisor will advise what direction you must evacuate. If you evacuate at the whatukeo end, you must remain outside the tunnel and await further instruction. Do not re-enter the tunnel unless you are advised that it is safe to do so. Thanks for your attention. There's a short test to complete the induction.
Thank you for your time whilst you've been on to the Kaimai site. It's important to us that you've understood your instructions and be as safe as what we try and make you on this site, as well as other sites within the Kiwi Rail network. Any questions, please feel free to ask any Kiwi Rail representatives, and I'm sure they will answer your questions to the best of their ability. Thank you.